Do you want to invest into commercial property but do not have the thousands and millions of rand which are needed in order to access commercial property investment? Today's video is all about ways in which we can access commercial property without the huge amount of money which is needed for it. Today we are talking about REITs, an easy way to access commercial property with the 100 rand, the 500 rand or the 1000 rand that you may have that you're willing to invest into property. So without wasting any time, please do ensure that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button and turn on notification bell because we're on our way to 10,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So without wasting time, let's get into today's video. Hello future millionaires and billionaires, and welcome to an insightful and informative video right here on my YouTube channel. If you're new to my channel, my name is Ivan Sambo, and on my YouTube channel I'm dedicated on simplifying the world of investing, budgeting and saving for the average South African so we can be able to access our key to financial freedom without the worry of the hard words which are used in the financial sector. I break down things for you guys in the most simplest way possible, and today we are talking about how can you access commercial property investment without thousands of millions of rand, but only with that 100 rand, that 500 rand or 1,000 rand that you have that you're willing to invest. But as always guys, I must put a disclaimer that I am not a financially registered advisor. None of my video guys constitute as financial advice, but only for educational purposes. And for today's video, because I'm talking about actual investments, please guys take everything I say with a pinch of salt. Do your research, and also if you have something to add guys, please, you're welcome in the comment section to tell me your ones and two or what you think about today's video. So we're talking about how can you access commercial property without millions of rands, because hey, to invest in Maponya Mall, I don't have that money. I don't have the 100,000 rands I needed to invest into Maponya Mall or Mall of Africa or Riverside Mall or Ilanga Mall for those who come from Mpumalanga, like I know Ilanga Mall. So we're talking about that in today's video, and so let's get into it guys without wasting any of your time and go straight into how exactly can you invest into real estate, commercial real estate without the millions of rands which are needed. The one way, the most simplified way, legal, without even going to Ponzi scheme, because hey, we know we have a lot of Ponzi schemes in South Africa, is through what is called REITs. REITs are real estate investment trust. Basically, these are JSE listed companies that by law focus on property investments. This can be agricultural property, can be real estate, it can be malls, it can be office spaces, can be stadiums, of crying out loud, but it only focuses on property. And by law, these companies which are listed in the JSE must pay up to 75% of their taxable income back to the retail investor, the investor who invested into these REIT companies which are listed in the JSE. So when we talk about this, we're talking about legit JSE listed companies which are out there allowing you and me to buy shares into them, and by so doing accessing directly those Maponya Mall shares, accessing directly those Riverside Mall shares, or for those who stay in Cape Town waterfront shares, so that we can also own it without having the need of having thousands or millions of rand. So what is the good thing of owning shares into REITs or owning shares of the REIT companies? Number one, you are becoming a property investor and a property owner without the need of you, number one, having to worry about tenants, having to worry about maintaining that particular property that you have. You own that property, you own shares of that property, that commercial property, without having the need to deal with the stress of owning it basically. And the second thing about investing into REITs is that number two, it gives you security, a level of security. I'm not saying it's risk-free. There are risks. I'll touch about them a little bit later, but it gives you a level of security because majority of commercial properties like your mall stores, your office spaces, those businesses enter into a long-term agreement with these REIT companies who manages malls, who manages this agricultural land, who manages office spaces. They enter into a long-term agreement, and this long-term agreement means that they will pay you monthly rent for a long duration duration of time, as compared to Ivan Sambo when he goes to Mama Kumalo, go to the back room there to hide the back room of Mama Kumalo and pays rent once or twice when he feels like it. No, when it comes to REITs companies, most of the time they're commercial. They deal with big businesses that have long-term agreements with them. So what one of the benefits of investing to REITs companies? The other benefit of investing to REITs companies is that they pay out dividends. Because of the law that says they must pay up to 75% of their taxable income back to the investors, it means they will pay out a lot of dividends to you and me, the retail investor who invested with 10 rand, 100 rand, or whatever the case may be. You get a lot of dividends payouts based on your amount that you've invested into this. Yes, guys, do not go. You can't invest 100 rand and expect to get a dividend of 10,000 rand or get the dividends of whatever amount you may think that's outside of that blank, it's a whole English bracket. Because sometimes some of the some of these REITs companies, they pay out the dividends of around 5, 6, 7, 8% of the particular amount you put in there. So for example, if you put in 100 rand there, you will get 6 rand or 7 rand or 8 rand per 3 months or per 4 months based on each REIT's specification or how much or when specifically they pay their dividends out. So that's the second benefit of investing into. The other nice thing about investing into REITs is that you get exposed into huge amount of commercial property that you'll never access individually through fractional share ownership. For meaning that I can own shares of waterfront in Cape Town with the 100 rand that I have, the 10 rand that I have, or the 5,000 rand that I have, without me having to worry about buying a whole portion of a share of that particular property. Through exploring myself in this REITs company, I get access to fractional ownership of all these assets that they manage. When I talk about assets, I'm talking about all the property that this particular REITs company will have been managing under them. For example, if I got into a REIT that owns malls such as Ilanga Mall, Riverside Mall, Emoyeni Mall, Kanyamazana Complex Center, or whatever the case, or Matulu Shopping Center, by buying a company, by buying shares of that REITs of that particular company that manages all these malls, I own all these malls with just one transition. So that's why that's one of the benefit that comes with investing into REITs. So now let's get into some of the risk that comes with investing your money into REITs. The first one is low growth. Because majority of your money you invest into REITs are paid out into dividends, the capital gain of your risk investment is not that much high. So basically, if you buy into particular REITs with 10 rand per share, example, it's hard for that share in the next 4 or 5 years to reach 15 rand or reach 20 rand, because majority of the money that they get, because of a 75% taxable income must be paid back to you, it means they will pay back majority of the money as compared to reinvesting it into growing their capital gain. So that's the other thing that you must take into account when you deal with REITs investment. The second thing that you must take into account when you deal with risk investment is that because REITs, some of them are sector based or sector niche based. Let me use that word, niche based. It means that, for example, if a REITs company focuses on the Western Cape or focuses on Gauteng or focuses in KwaZulu-Natal, and something like the looting that happened a few weeks back happen, the value of your risk will be impacted, because majority of REITs companies are niche based. Some of them specialize in the particular just malls only, and if the mall sector, for example, is hit by a pandemic like we saw last year and people are not going out to shop in traditional malls, they're doing things online, your REITs company will also drop in value. Or for example, if your REITs company is specialized on hotels and also if the tourism sector is suffering, you too will suffer. So now let's talk about how do you buy or how do you invest into REITs. The only thing that you need to do is to open a brokerage account with the likes of Easy Equity or your banking institution if you buy your shares through banking. Basically, any brokerage account that gives you access into the JSE, you can get access into REITs. So ask your broker if they have them listed under their account. But if you're an Easy Equity user, just search for real estate investment trust. You will will find them. They are listed there, such as Vugile, such as Safari. And for example, Vugile saw over 81% growth last year. I think Safari saw over 59% growth last year. So you can find them listed in your brokerage account, such as Easy Equity or the banking brokerage account if you're using your bank or you're using other brokers' accounts.